Well, hi, what's up, babe?
Ahoy, what's popping?
Not much. How you doing?
Doing pretty all right here. Oh, here, let me turn my camera on. Yeah, how you been since the last time I saw you?
Just big chilling, you know? When did I see you last? Was it for the election stream?
Yeah, that was election night. Yeah. How has it been going over there? You been staying out of trouble?
No, but you know.
I mean, from like a content perspective, it seems like every day is the dumbest day in American history, doesn't it?
Yeah, it somehow has gotten. Yeah, I don't even. It's hard to put into words how started everything is right now. Like on its
Like
own,
in the
there's like
fucking
20 different things that could be, you know, like administration breaking horrible things. But yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, well, you see that they're going hard with the AI art, man. I think it's really artistic and beautiful. I mean, they just posted for May the 4th. Happy May the 4th, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, that Trump with like these giant rockin' biceps and a red lightsaber. Like,
Yeah, interesting color choice. I don't know why they are so on the nose sometimes, but you know, whatever.
I feel like it kind of, that right there to me almost represents, it's like the perfect encapsulation of the cognitive dissonance, because you have Trump with a red lightsaber, but in the post it says, like, to the radical left, you are not the rebellion, you are the empire. It's like, dog, you have the red lightsaber.
And you literally are the empire. Like, you are the
Right?
administration right now, so I don't know what you mean. Yeah.
No. See, you're wrong. See, the deep state is not in power right now. The deep state is still. No,
Somewhere.
wait. How does
You don't even try to. Yeah,
that work?
it doesn't. There's no way to even make sense of it. Because somehow the deep state is still in power, or it was in power for Trump's first 4 years, but it's not in power anymore because he got to choose everybody. But sometimes it is in power. I think
It was in
it's
power
perfectly,
with Biden, right? Biden was obviously the leader of the deep state.
Yes, but the deep state was also there when Biden was just running for office. Because remember, the FBI, the laptop from hell and all of that was the FBI that was trying to stop that was Trump's FBI, but that was controlled by the deep state, I think, not Trump. But now Trump controls the
Okay.
FBI, not the deep
Can you
state.
get Alex Jones on the line? I can't make heads or tails of this.
Yeah, I'm sure he's coming. Fuck, what was I gonna? Oh, Trump just gave an interview. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw clips from it. That somebody asked him, "What parts of it, like, do you think this is your economy yet, or is it Biden's economy?" And Trump says,
Oh yeah.
"I think the good parts of the economy are my economy, and the bad parts, I think, are Biden's economy." It's just like it's just
it
so
makes
on
so
the
much
nose.
sense. Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, how has like your streaming and content and debates, has that changed at all since inauguration day? And like, if so, how? I'm just
I mean,
curious.
I
Like,
don't
has there
think-
been a vibe shift or like content shift?
I mean, for content, it's
Yeah.
like it's exhausting because there's like at some point you can't really cover everything, you know. So there's just like how many times can you have, you know, like the next day of this is the worst thing ever. There are some people that kind of mean because Brian Tyler Cohen and it's not Adam Mockler. There's one other guy. Fuck, I should remember his name. Oh, Luke Beasley, I think. And apparently, like, every single YouTube title they have is like, now it's over for the Trump admin, or Trump admin gets destroyed by this, or this is the worst thing ever. And it's like every single like 2 days, and it's like, okay, yeah.
I mean, is it clickbait though?
Well, it's a lot. It's exhausting. That's the problem. And then you run
Are
into
you
an issue.
complaining about their video titles, or are you like?
I'm not. It's just I'm saying it's like it's hard to figure out like how do you even cover it when it's so crazy. Like we were already asking that question for the first Trump admin, you know, and now it's even worse. It's like, what do you say or do?
Oh yeah, that was just round one back then.
Yeah, but that seems super tame compared to where we are now. So
It sure does. Yeah. So are things going like as you expected, worse than you expected? Has anything like surprised you or your audience?
no, I think that things are surprising.
Because you read Project 2025, right? Did you read through like all of it?
No, I
You're
didn't read
pretty
any
much
of
like,
it. Actually, I don't even. because I feel like most Americans don't care about policy. But I don't think that the big writing on the wall wasn't the Project 2025. The big writing on the wall was just understanding kind of like how Trump works and like what was going on and what he wanted to do and what he was going to change next time. And I think especially with Vance, I think Vance was a big foretelling, because one of the things that Trump wanted to do last time was steal the election, right? And he wasn't able to do that, largely because of Pence. Yeah. And like that was one of the things that Vance said coming in, where Vance was like, oh no, I would definitely do that for him. Yeah. So
sorry.
Yeah. So people have this like misconception. People have a lot of misconceptions, but people had a lot of misconceptions around Trump, that the first Trump economy was good and Trump knows what he's doing and he just says crazy stuff because he's a deal maker. And that may be like an okay, like casual take. But if you're following the politics, what was actually happening was that evil, horrible, bureaucratic deep state was just making sure like the country was actually running and not being fucking destroyed, okay, by Donald Trump.
You're right.
And now he's totally peeled apart or taken apart all of the safeguards on that. So I mean, it's more aggressive than I thought it would be. I think more aggressive than anybody thought it would be. But like, yeah, the writing was definitely on the wall for everything, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they're flooding the zone, as they say. You know.
Yeah.
They put so much dumb shit out there. I've been paying a lot of attention. So like, for a long time, I really didn't care too much about politics or get involved. I just kind of stuck with my video games, wanted to just fuck off. It was actually when that Corey guy got killed at the rally, and after that, I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." And then I think you popped up on like Twitter or something, and I saw you just like going off on people, and I was like, "What is actually going on in the U.S.?" And I'm like, I'm 30. I should probably start caring about politics now. So I've been really getting into it and just kind of like observing from afar.
Sure. Wait, where are you from again? Are you Canadian?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Washington State.
Okay. You said what's going on?
You know what they say: West Coast, Best Coast, East Coast, Least Coast.
Well, I'm not a coastal elite. I'm in Miami. Okay, we're not. It's not really the East Coast, although technically it is, but it's not really. But
you've been adopted by Florida.
No, I've been adopted by Miami.
No,
Miami.
Oh, okay. Miami and Florida are two separate places.
They're very separate for sure. Because if I said I was like up in Jacksonville or something, all right, that's the South. Okay, that's different. All right, I'm in Miami. Miami is its own thing.
Yeah,
we're kind of similar
to
Orlando.
Are you a Dolphins fan then?
I love Dolphins. Yeah.
The football team?
No.
Man, dork.
Yep.
Yeah, so like
I only believe in one type of football, and that's college football. So what am I?
You're a college football guy?
No, but I used to be. I'm from Nebraska, so.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, well, what I've noticed that people who are more like college football and not NFL, like they have more, like they don't have NFL teams in states where most people are like college football fans. I've noticed from my own personal experience.
Sure.
Which makes sense.
What do you mean it makes sense?
Makes sense if you don't have an NFL team in your state, but you have college teams. You would probably.
You think that's the only reason why people would follow college football is because there's no NFL team there?
I think that's part of it. I think yeah. It's an inferior form of football.
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's inferior. Sometimes you like the team building. You like to see freshmen come on and your black shirts, your people that come on and they are with the team for 4 years. You get to watch them develop with the staff. You have your fun coach. You don't do this weird draft roulette every fucking year and shuffle new players around everywhere. And, the schedule is better. The schedule is better. The schedule's way better in college football. Every fucking game is essential, is the most important game. All of them. Like 12 games or whatever per season outside of playoffs or whatever. So, just saying.
For college, it's 12 games?
Isn't it?
I don't know. I don't really watch much college football.
Yeah, but you wouldn't. That's because you just move to a city and pick whatever the football team is, and you're like, oh, this is my team now.
Well, I don't watch any. Dog, I was born and raised here.
I don't watch sports ball anymore. Okay, I don't care.
Sports ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So like,
it's
yeah,
not red shirts, it's black shirts, guys. Okay, we were Nazis in Nebraska. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I wanted to pick your brain on some stuff because like. I've been observing from afar, and like I have a bunch of different topics that are on my mind, and I'm pretty much down for whatever. But like obviously the recent Hassan Ethan Klein debate, like I haven't really watched any of that. I don't really know what's going on with it. But something that stands out to me is like there's so much going on with the administration, or sorry, the regime. Why are people on the left still doing these like crippling purity tests? Like, shouldn't you guys be creating like a unified front and like setting aside your differences, because we're kind of in the process of becoming like, I don't know if we're in the process or already there, but it's like fascism and authoritarianism, I feel like is a bigger deal than whatever differences they might have on Palestine and Israel.
Good question. Let me grab a Red Bull and I'll answer. Hold on one second.
Sure, no problem. How we doing, chat? I don't know. I'm kind of like new to all of this, so I don't know if maybe there's a bunch of stuff in context I'm missing out, but it just seems like a constant issue of the left is always like infighting, and then the right is always just complete total subservience to a greater authority figure.
Okay. I would broadly define liberalism as like the kind of like the Bill of Rights. You've got your, private property, freedom of speech. Government exists to protect that. Capitalism, like this is like broadly speaking, these are like liberal ideas. Illiberal people or anti-liberal people, so like socialists or communists would be anti-liberal, or fascists, authoritarians, dictators, whatever would be anti-liberal. These people will always hate the, broadly speaking, like liberalism. People like Hassan or like the far left, people who identify as socialists, are anti-liberal. They will not support the Democratic Party or anything that's part of the like the liberal establishment of the United States. So part of the reason why there's so much,
why?
Because they're not liberal. They don't like liberalism. They're anti-capitalist. They think that capitalism is inherently unethical or immoral, and their entire framework for analyzing the world is through that lens.
Okay, do they forget that we have a two-party system in this country?
Well, no, but they don't care. That's why they say that like they won't vote for the lesser of two evils, or, they don't care. Yeah, they just don't care.
That doesn't make any sense to me, right? It's like you ever see Alien versus Predator, the first one?
Hell yeah, I did.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Okay. Side note: that movie is like the perfect combination of dumb and awesome. It has like a great fucking movie, but there's moments in like media, movies, video games, TV shows where quotes really stick with me, and I feel like they say something greater than what is said within the context of the movie, right? Okay. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right? You remember that quote?
Yeah, that came from Alien vs. Predator, right? I think they were the first one to say that, yeah.
Well, I don't know if they were the first one to say that, but like...
I know what you mean, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so, like, it should be a fight of the lesser of two evils, right?
But they're not. They're not the enemy of my enemy. Their enemy is capitalism or liberalism broadly. Like, that is their enemy. And all of it's more or less the same to them.
That's so dumb. Why, like...
They would tell you that it's dumb for you to think. You think there's a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans? Like, I mean, you can find literal clips of Hassan saying that there would be no difference between Kamala and Trump. But the reason why they say this is because they are both, broadly speaking, well, they're not actually, because Trump is a fucking dictator, but like part of the capitalist liberal world order.
Okay, but like, don't you think we have bigger issues to worry about than just like constant infighting, right?
It's not infighting to them. They're trying to get rid of liberals. They don't consider them part of the group. They're not on the same team. And they view any type of huge thing like this, any huge upset that's going on like right now, is an opportunity for them to accelerate the world into collapse so that the rebuilding can be of like a new socialist utopia.
You think that's their end game?
Yeah, it sounds kind of memey, but I mean, this is kind of what happened, I think, with Lenin in the Russian Empire, and everybody, all the kind of like Marxists around the world kind of see that as like once the system kind of collapses from capitalism, from the ashes you build a socialist utopia, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It sounds memey, but if you really talk to any of the big thought leaders or whatever about this, like even your Hassan losers, like they'll say this, they'll say it pretty openly, yeah.
So essentially, there's like two sides of the political spectrum are like, yes, down with the current state of America being like the world's leading global superpower, essentially. Like, let's tear it all down and rebuild.
At least it's capitalist, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's stupid. I mean, I don't know. I guess like from an outsider's perspective, like when I see some of the clips and I see the way that like Ethan and Hassan talk to each other, like part of me also wonders, like sometimes it's difficult to ascertain whether or not a content creator is like saying and doing things and like putting on a performance, at least in the realm of politics, right? It's like, is it always easy to see where the line is between I'm putting on a show for people and like, are you genuinely trying to get people to come together to have a productive conversation that can sway people's minds and get them to believe in what's best for the country and the world?
Well, that's a different conversation, but that has to do with it's something, again, I feel very strongly about. So politics, okay, is the practice of basically forcing your will onto other people. Politics is the practice of seizing power from the state, from the apparatus, right? That's what politics is, about securing political power. Most political streamers don't care about that. They're content creators, or you can say maybe agitators or whatever, but at the end of the day, politics is not something they're actually concerned about, but they wear the aesthetic of politics for making content and for making money. So Hassan is somebody who wears the aesthetic of politics for making content, as opposed to say like Nick Fuentes is somebody who's concerned with like securing political power. The difference between the two, right, is that one will try to build a political movement, or like Charlie Kirk will try to build a political movement, gain access to political leaders, build up their political party. Like people like Charlie Kirk are trying to gain, or they've gained and secured political power. A lot of online leftist content creators are just here to endlessly critique power and make content out of it under the guise of doing politics, but they're not actually practicing politics. They don't care to practice politics.
What can be done about that?
I mean, like, you're free to do what you want, but I wish that people would just realize that a little bit more.
Yeah, because it seems like we're in the midst of a battle for America's soul right now, and I feel like there's, at least from my perspective, I mean, if one was to do political content, right, you would ideally be promoting a sort of governance or lifestyle that would benefit Americans, right? Like if I were to do political content, I would want to feel like I'm helping to make the world a better place.
Yeah,
as
but their
opposed
way
to
of
like
doing
I'm
that,
doing this.
Their way of doing that is that they view the current system as being fundamentally evil, as opposed to like it's inherently, intrinsically an evil system, and you trying to help people live better in it is just furthering the evil. It would be like saying, I have an 8-year-old who's getting abused by their parents, and you're like, okay, well, we're going to get this 8-year-old the best martial arts lessons ever so he can minimize, his dad attacking him. That's how a leftist views you trying to patch the current system. And the leftist would say, well, maybe we should just remove the kid from the abusive household. Like, this is like a broken system. There's no reason to try to patch it.
So I guess then the goal would be to convince them that it is worth saving and improving. And it's also not entirely realistic to be like, oh, okay, yeah, 250 years of American capitalism. Well, let's just get rid of that and try something else, right?
I mean, realistic. I mean, maybe, but it doesn't matter as much also because remember, at the end of the day, these guys aren't concerned with securing political power. That's just not really what they care about that much. So...
And you do, because when I think I saw one clip on your channel, I think a while ago, when like you got accosted by someone when you were doing like door-to-door knocking, and then like it was like some lady, and then every question she had for you answered with like pinpoint precision, and just kind of like, it was really funny. But you're actually going out and doing the boots on the ground work, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
So
would hope so.
you
Because
care about
yeah, but I mean, you don't necessarily have to do that either. It's just, but you just need to be kind of like at the very least, if you're telling people to vote for or supporting like a political party or something, like it doesn't have to be on the ground work. Now, I would argue if you've got a lot of money, because remember, these people always complain that like, oh, the Koch brothers and all these people have so much money and they, rig stuff. It's like, okay, well, why don't we rig stuff? We have a lot of money, no? Why don't we do something like Charlie Kirk does? So yeah, I would say I'm interested in, I would say practicing politics, but
what I was saying is that you're also a content creator, right? You do debates, you do politics, but that's not all you do. So when looking at your actions as a whole, seeing you like just go out on the street like any other person would to try and make a difference, says something about your intentions going further beyond sitting in your fucking computer chair complaining all day, right?
I mean, I would say so, yeah. But again, I would stress that like you can contribute in a lot of different ways. You don't have to go out and be like a real life activist. You don't have to go out and do these things in the real world. Like there's plenty of ways that you can contribute if you want to. So.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose that answers some of my. That answers a question I had been thinking of, because when you compare like the left and the right, like the left wing seems to be plagued with constant infighting and purity tests, and the right is plagued by just like complete total subservience and kneeling to authority and ruling by fear, intimidation, and ostracization.
Yeah, but look at the difference there, right? The difference is that both sides there are actually being incredibly effective at what they're doing. They just have different goals. Like when you talk about, well, the left is plagued with infighting because they like to infight. It's fun. They want to criticize. They want to make content out of it. They want to be activists. That's the goal. And infighting serves that goal. It serves it really well. It does all the things. And the right, you said that, they're trying to, what do you say? They're trying to get subservient and, whatever other stuff. All these things are to what? To further the political power that they seek. And they're very good at it. They're very effective at doing it. So both sides technically are doing the correct things. They just have very different goals. And I just wish people would be more aware of that so we could focus on the what I would argue are more worthy goals.
Yeah, well, I think the left would benefit more if they were able to establish a more unified front. What I'm gathering from this conversation is that that's not entirely realistic, and this might just be the nature of the left wing to fight and critique each other. But
no. Careful, because the difference between socialist left, like that left, versus like Democrats. Democrats should be able to provide a type of unified front. That should be possible. We should be able to provide a unified front. We should be able to run for elections and win. There's no reason why we can't. But a lot of people just gotten confused, and partially because it's intentional, right? And again, I know I sound really conspiratorial when I'm saying this, but I don't know how much of Ethan stuff you've watched, whatever. Like Hassan literally says that his goal is to provide a radicalist funnel to people, to more radical anti-liberal spaces. Like he masquerades as a liberal, but he's not actually. He's a Marxist-Leninist. But he says that openly. Like he's said that on shows openly. I don't know if you saw that clip on Ethernet. I'm just making that up. So that's part of where the confusion comes from. You don't get people that are trying to draft people away from Donald Trump on the far right. If anything, before Trump came into office, a lot of the far right just kind of they like grin and bear. They're like, Trump is not the Nazi that I want, but I think he'll get us a little bit further along to where, we want to be. Like they just like deal with it,
Yeah. Well, also, one of the tactics I've noticed from the right, obviously, is threat of ostracization, and it makes sense when you consider that, like, the conservative mindset, at least generally speaking, and correct me if I'm wrong on anything, but the conservative mindset essentially boils down to in-group, out-group, us versus them. And when taken too far to the right, it turns into fascism of rules for thee, not for me. I'm the in-group, you're the out-group, right? And so that's why the threat of ostracization amongst conservatives is so prevalent, because they're being threatened with their place in the in-group, right? If you don't fall in line or, do exactly as we're saying, if you don't follow the party mantras, then you're out, right? And then if you're out, then
I'd say
where
like
the
a
fuck do
little
they
bit.
go?
Although I would say to be careful because technically everybody has their in-group, out-group. It's just the way that they orient that in-group, out-group is a little bit different sometimes. But I mean, like everybody at the end of the day is big on in-group, out-group stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But conservatives more so, right? That's why, like, anytime someone says something slightly critical about Trump, he's always jumping on the button to send a tweet to talk shit, right?
True,
He
but I mean,
uses
like
his
on the left, you would argue that in-group, out-group stuff comes in the form of it comes in the form of like cancel culture, right? That was their variation of in-group, out-group.
yeah, true. But also like the right seems more unified in a single group and unwilling to push back, whereas the left seems more like even if I don't know, you're not accepted in like Hassan's space or whatever, like you still have your space here. You
Mm-hmm.
still exist. That he can't. Nobody on the left can threaten you with ostracization, right? But like all the guys on the right who suck up to Elon and Trump,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have to keep doing that because it's all like one unified front.
Kind
Does that make
of.
sense?
I understand what you're saying. It just
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
I'm gonna beat this in because it's hard to understand this point, but it seems like there's a unified front. But what's actually happening is they're both unified, but they're unified around different goals. So the right is unified. The right has a unified front, but the right is unified around securing political power, so they all support Donald Trump. The left is unified, but they're unified around like cultural issues that don't necessarily align with securing political power. So, for instance, the cancel culture thing is probably a good thing, like trans issues, right? Nobody on the left apparently can speak up and say like, hey, maybe this particular thing about trans athletes is like a little bit overboard. When Gavin Newsom said it, everybody started writing articles about how Gavin Newsom is like a traitor to the left now. I think even the New York Times was posting op-eds about it. And it's like Gavin Newsom's statements on that show were not that radical at all. They were totally fine. So the left does a lot of the in-group, out-group stuff, but the thing that they enforce the in-group, out-group opinion on just isn't related to securing political power.
Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense.
Sure, it's very fucking annoying, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've clearly thought a lot about this.
I mean, I hope so. It's my that's what I do for work in my job. Yeah,
it's your job.
Yeah.
I was also curious about. So how have debates been going for you? I haven't kept up with some of your content, so I haven't watched recently. But like overall, like has it been more or less the same, or has it been different in some ways? Say that again.
Has what been more or less the same?
Your debates, like with people, have they changed at all since the inauguration?
I mean, I would say it looks like I think people started to avoid me a lot after the firefighter thing. A lot of conservatives got really triggered, but I think that a lot of people on the conservative side, ever since the Trump victory, I think basically just started avoiding all critical confrontation at all because they'd won the election and they didn't need to. And
yeah,
I haven't seen that come back yet. And I think that that'll change around midterm time. That's just the thing that I hear anecdotally. I think that anecdotally, a lot of conservatives are also just like not capable of defending a lot of the Trump stuff, so they just don't talk about it as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what do you mean? He tanked the economy, and it's gonna be great. You just wait and see. Just have a little faith, Arthur.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know when that's coming back.
Yeah.
The economy, yeah. But
so it's been. I suppose that makes sense, right? Because going into elections, that's when like the exchange of ideas, like, oh, who's going to be the better president? That's probably when it's most heated. So that makes sense that would kind of fall off a bit. Another question I had for you.
I think it's more that they know that a lot of the stuff that they're doing is completely and totally and wholly indefensible. So they do their best to just avoid fucking anything
just
related to
stick your head in the sand, kind of.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. So another question I had for you was, when you do debates or when you discuss ideas, what like mindset do you go into it with, and what are your intentions, either for yourself, for your opponent, your audiences, just like generally speaking, How would you describe your mindset and your intentions?
I mean, I always say that there's three different things. I think it's like there's people, it's people, policies, places. So it depends on who I debate, it depends on what I'm debating, and it depends on where I'm debating. All three of those things are going to have huge impacts on how I actually approach that conversation. If you give me an example, then I will walk through how I would assess that, I guess.
I guess, like, do you adjust your approach depending on the person you're talking to? Like, if someone seems less malicious or more open to your ideas, do you still go like full throttle on them? Because
Right,
you've obviously
you got to give me an example, and I can talk you through it, I guess, how I would assess it.
Well, let's say you're speaking to someone and they seem receptive to your ideas, right?
Who is the person? Are they like
they're
a
willing,
content creator, or are they?
yeah. So just or anyone, someone who is willing to concede something, because you've obviously had very heated debates in the past, but like how much of your tactics change based on the person?
Well, all
is
of
what
it's
I'm
going to
trying
change. It's the problem is that like, what video games do you play?
Oh, I play a lot.
You play
A lot of
StarCraft?
FPS games. Yeah.
Oh, like it's kind of like you're asking me the question is like, how would you win a StarCraft 2 game? And it's like, well, it depends on the map, it depends on the matchup, and it depends on if I know the player, it depends on the player. Like, it's super variable. So, like, if a random mom wanted to have a debate with me about trans rights on stage for a college event, and that college event was called the Come Together Tour, right? Well, if it's a person with a kid and we're talking about trans stuff, I'm probably going to try to be empathetic. I'm probably going to try to relate on some parental level. And if it's a tour where like the express purpose is to have like good conversations, I'm probably going to try to be like pretty chill. I'll match energy or even like just be less than them. If they go hard, I'll try to just like bring it back. And I'll try to like bring them over to my side or bridge or meet in the middle, I guess, as much as possible, since it's supposed to be like a like a connective thing, I guess. Like that would be my approach there. But if I was debating somebody on like the, the fuck Trump tour, and it was like an online content creator who's known for being, super far right in a lot of their beliefs, then I'm going to ramp up the energy pretty significantly. I'm going to, regardless of the policy or the thing we're debating on, I'm going to try to argue my side almost as stringently as possible. My rhetorical tools are going to be a lot more aggressive. It's going to be more like trying to make the other person look like an idiot, trying to demonstrate, mastery of the topic and to show that they don't know anything about it. Yeah, so all of these things will heavily impact the approach, I think, to the conversation.
Okay. Interesting. And then, sorry, I'm still a little sick, so if I start hawking up loogies, that's why.
You're good.
Yeah, so also when you debate, like, what is the best case outcome in your mind? Like, let's just say a typical conservative content creator, not super, not like a huge fucking dick, but also not entirely reasonable. Like, do you also go into it with a perspective of like, I hope we both get something out of this conversation and come to some, even the slightest bit, come together on something to at least relate as humans, right?
I can't. I can't give any general overview. I just can't. You have to give me specific examples, because like let's say I'm debating somebody who might come off as moderate, but in their own community they're extremist on every position. I don't want to share ground with them. I don't want to break bread with them, and I don't want to come to any middle ground at all with them, because I don't want the other side to have the impression that I'm co-signing anything or that I think they're more reasonable than they actually are. But let's say it's somebody who I believe is like genuinely kind of like a centristy type person, or maybe they fall in a little bit into some conservative memes, but they just don't know that much about politics, and their community is kind of like trending towards the far right, or trending towards the right. I'm probably not going to be as aggressive as that person, but I can't generalize any of this. It has to be, I would have to talk through an example to do it. I can't write any rules for it. Yeah. Or there are rules for it, but all of them, it's just going to depend so much on on the person, policy, and the platform. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. It's because sometimes I like when I watch clips of like Ethan and Hassan, it doesn't seem like either of them are trying to come to any sort of common agreement or understanding on something to either like deepen their understanding. But then again, like you said,
that type of conversation is basically never, ever, ever happening online. Deepening an understanding, that's going to be a that's like an intellectual pursuit moment. But online for content creators, you know, we're defending egos and we're defending ideologies, where most people are defending ideologies more than anything. And and fact is an instrument of ideology, meaning the facts will be wielded or weaponized in a different way in service to the ideology, not the other way around. So like somebody like Hassan, you know, whose primary focus is his ideology, is never going to be interested in some kind of thought-provoking intellectual pursuit, because if he finds something that contradicts the ideology, he's fucked. That just can never happen. That can't be the case.
Yeah. You know, my personal politics, I've never really been like, oh, I'm part of this political party, like, oh, I'm a liberal or a Democrat or a Republican or a conservative, because I feel like I'm my own man, and attaching labels is sometimes an easy way for people to categorize you, throw you into a box, and say you're just like all the others in this group, and essentially like use that as a way to completely disregard whatever you might have to say. So like, there's another quote from Knights of the Old Republic 2. Anybody who's played that, this game had some fire philosophy, but there's a character that says, to believe in an idea is to be willing to betray it. What do you think that means?
To believe in an idea is to be willing to betray it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to depend on the type of idea that you believe in, but it sounds like
an ideal.
No, I understand, but it sounds like technically the quote is he's appealing to a higher ideal, but to believe in an idea is to be willing to betray it. Sounds like it means that if you have some intellectually honest engagement with your philosophy, then you should be willing to change your philosophy if there's either new information or if you've evaluated something differently or whatever, as a result of collecting data.
Bingo.
Sure.
Bingo. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at the world. It's like, I saw a quote, it was either from Steve Bannon or someone else, who was saying something like, anybody can believe in the truth, but if you can convince someone to believe nonsense, then they will wear a political uniform for you. And the more people you have in that uniform, you can build an army. Basically, like, if you can convince people the stupidest things are true, and they're not thinking about what's true and what's not true, they're just blind adherents to your ideology, and therefore they're a soldier.
Okay. Yeah. That's Bannon is pretty smart politically, so
yeah.
Checks out.
That's just me like making sense of things, but I don't know. I guess I don't understand how people get so wrapped up in their political party that they end up discarding the truth, or like.
Well, their political parties are a little bit different, I would say, than ideology, and so you just have to be careful about who's defending what, because like Hassan won't necessarily be allegiant to a political party. Hassan's allegiance will be to an ideology of Marxist-Leninism, basically, yeah. But the ideology supersedes any kind of factual analysis of the world, yeah.
Yeah. I think, like, do you agree with that sentiment that, like, well, if you believe in something, you should be willing to betray it and discard it should some better argument come along, right? Everybody used to think the Earth was flat, and if I remember correctly, the first guy who was like, guys, I think it's round, I think that killed him. But like that's an idea of, you know, people that just blindly believed the Earth was flat, but then new evidence came around to change people's minds. Like, I think that's a good political perspective to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good perspective for life. You just have to be careful because people will view things. Sometimes people can view a willingness to change ideas is a weakness. So you have to be very careful how you present it, I guess, you know? Like another person who I haven't, Muslims, for instance, will use the argument that the Quran has never changed as one of their kind of owns against Christianity, who, you know, kind of like swap out books in the Bible and shit because who the fuck knows. And, you know, and Muslims will make that argument that, like, see, the fact that our shit's never changed actually makes it way better than yours. And for some people, like, those types of arguments are compelling, right? And, you know, for other people, they'll be like, wait, hold on, wait a second, this sounds like the worst argument you could make, you know? So some people do view that unchanging and unwavering belief as like a ideological strength, whereas other people
as like a building that stood for centuries versus a building that was renovated.
Yeah, potentially, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay. Kind of like an appeal to traditionalism. This is the way things are and have been, and it's worked, and it doesn't need to change. Okay. Yeah. You're an interesting guy to talk to. And
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's my job, right?
Well, I'm surprised by some of the answers and input, because it seems like a lot of these issues are much more intertwined and difficult to solve than just a small change in perspective of like, but guys, what if you just believed in things that are true, you know? Like,
yeah, the problem is people if you ever like do like kind of amateur investigations or like philosophy, you can start to figure this out real quick, where I think Wittgenstein says this, and I'm saying this having never read it before. The idea that there are no problems in philosophy, there are just problems of language, and because language can be ambiguous, we trick ourselves into thinking that there's actually a really deep question being asked, when in reality we're just not using the correct words. So like when you say we should just believe in things that are true, it's the type of thing that every single person would agree with, but obviously the difficulty is, well, how do you define what is true? And, you know, somebody might say, oh, well, things that we can directly witness are true. Okay, well, what does it mean to witness something, and what does it mean to witness something directly? Because, for instance, a lot of people in Washington state might say something like they've witnessed stuff related to illegal immigration into the United States at the border, and it's like, really? Have you? It's like, well, I've seen these news, right? So people will agree conceptually on a lot of things, but when you start to like ground it out in examples, or you start to ask people, what do you actually mean when you say this? Then you start to realize like, oh shit, we're on different planets here, you know?
Yeah. I think, so I've been doing something sometimes in my spare time is I'll actually reach out and talk to some of my haters on Twitter. Mm-hmm. In some ways it's a waste of time, some might say, but it's also a way for me to like engage with a radically different perspective and try to at least understand where they're coming from or their reasoning behind things. And I feel like when ego is taken out of the equation, right? Because think about Twitter, for example. You know, when you post a tweet, anybody can see it. Or when you do a debate, live, right? Mm-hmm. You're doing it live. You're not like recording this behind the scenes or something, but that like sort of public pressure of, you know, people are watching you, don't fuck up, can really, I think, change how conversations happen. Whereas when you're like, hey, let's talk in private and just have a conversation, I found that people are much more receptive in those instances.
Yeah, they can be, yeah. But it also really depends on who you're talking to, because remember, like, people who are online content creators are going to be very, very bought into their particular ideology for a lot of reasons. Sometimes because they have to be. It's part of their job, right? Like, imagine if I had
part of the audience they've attracted, right?
Yeah. Imagine if somebody does give like the most logically consistent and best argument ever to somebody like Hassan for why capitalism is better than socialism. If he were to change his mind on that, he's going to lose 80% of his audience, right? Because he attracts via an ideology rather than, you know, some individual thought pattern. So for a lot of people, you're kind of bought in once you start to develop an audience, and you can't really change that much. You don't have any flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, you know, everybody is kind of a slave to something or another.
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah, you know, like everybody that does some type of content, like people subscribe for a reason. If you sway too far off the beaten path, then people are like, well, what the fuck is this? I mean, when I was doing YouTube, I'm still doing YouTube, but when I was doing it earlier in my career, I was more counterculture against the left generally, because I found there were more like stupid things left-wing people were saying about video games, right?
Sure.
And sometimes there would be some right-wing stupidity or like stuff to make fun of, hot takes. But so whether I intended to or not, I ended up attracting well, I attract all kinds of gamers. That's inherently the goal. But like within the last few years, I've noticed a shift in like the stupid shit people are saying about video games from political perspectives is much more on the right now. Like every fucking day, it's like, oh, Doom the Dark Ages is woke, man, or some. So it's always some fucking stupid shit. But my perspective has always been like, if you're making bad takes, I don't care what political side you're on. I'll make fun of you all the same.
Sure.
But yeah, I feel like I've noticed that it's kind of shifted the other way.
What do you mean by that, shifted the other way?
That like when looking at content again, yeah, like for me doing content, when I do like a hot take video, you know, I don't pull punches based on if someone's like arguing left wing versus right wing talking points. You're saying dumb shit about video games, gonna make fun of you all the same. But there's almost like this idea that I've somehow betrayed like who I was, whereas like I've always kind of just made fun of people all the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's an aesthetic to going after everybody that people like, and people really like to wear the aesthetic of going after everybody when they don't go after everybody. A really good example of this are people who make like edgy jokes.
Like Lex Friedman?
No, I'll just say focusing on gamers. People that make edgy jokes, there's a type of edgy joke you could make that's like safe edgy, and especially gamers for a long time, you know, would say shit like, oh, we should be able to make fun of anybody, and that's, you know, it's funny and epic, and you make fun of minorities, and make fun of women or whatever. But like if you were to make fun of gamers or like white people, now they're like really mad.
Whoa.
The best example of this,
you watch your tone there.
The best example of this ever was Jimmy Kimmel made a little skit. I thought it was funny, and then he did like a second part of it where it was a skit about like watching like if you're like, instead of playing games, watching people play games, and then they were like, now you can watch people play games, and it was like a 2 or 3 minute skit or whatever, and they made this, and bro, this comment section, it was one of the most disliked fucking videos on all of YouTube. Gamers and people who watch streams got so fucking ass pained at that, it was insane.
That's funny. Yeah. So I guess I don't know, I kind of been, so every now and then I'll jump in to do like some kind of political gaming video when those two intersect, but I usually try to keep it to politics in games or like when other people are politicizing video games. The interesting thing is like, I feel like my values have always been the same. But now there's a lot more people on the right who are doing exactly what we used to criticize people on the left for doing, which was like politicizing video games.
Yeah.
You know, a perfect example of this is like Resident Evil 5 is racist because it's a white guy in Africa killing a bunch of black zombies. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's stupid. And then you have like just this year, it's, oh, well, Assassin's Creed Shadows is racist because it's a black guy in Japan killing Japanese people. And I'm like, that just feels like two sides of the same coin. But like one side is just being hypocrites of the fact that they like, does that make sense? It just feels like
I had this moment when
argument.
I had this moment around, I think it was like a FIFA game or something, is when I first saw that, where I thought that people obsessing over like the race of, you know, online people are protagonists, I think was stupid. And I used to get so many soy claps in the past over, you know, people, because I was kind of a more, I guess, right-leaning culture warrior guy, maybe. And then when other games started to come out, you know, featuring races of people on the other side, I had the same argument. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what the race the protagonist is. But all of a sudden, like, all the white people started to get like really ass pain over stuff like this. And I was like, okay, I thought we didn't care about this. But then you realize, like, oh, well, they supported you when you were supporting the status quo, and that was the only thing they actually cared about. It was like, okay, well, that's kind of depressing, I guess.
At least at the time, it didn't feel like the status quo because it felt more like counterculture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like, I feel like I've always been a counterculture guy. Like I'm a fucking hipster, dude. All these new games coming out, and I've just been fucking playing Age of Empires 2. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me some days, but it's just like when Pokemon Go first came out, I was like, I don't want to play Pokemon Go, so I bought a Game Boy SP and a brand new, or I bought blue version. And when everybody else was playing Pokemon Go, I was walking around with them with my SP playing blue version. So I always just kind of been someone that like carves my own path, marches by the beat of my own drum. And I don't know. I guess I sway more towards like a counterculture, like kind of resisting whatever is currently in power.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's like a fun aesthetic, but it's not fun if somebody's counterculture against the thing you actually like. So people will really be with you when you're supporting their kind of counterculture narrative, but when you're on the other side of it, people will get very, very, very ass pained over it.
Yeah, I like to use the phrase, I used to like that guy until his criticisms applied to me.
Yeah, I say that all the time for people, because people will say things like, Destiny is like so right when he criticizes the left or the right, but every time he criticizes the right or the left, he super misses the mark. And it's like, if that's your take of me, then something is not. Then you should do a little bit of self-reflection. I think it would be strange if you're so in love with and attached to my thought process, but only when I analyze one side of the political aisle that something is probably wrong there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to try to cut into these echo chambers because, like, I'll tell you, I don't get how people live in echo chambers, right? That sounds like the most boring shit in the world. Like say one thing, disagree. Oh, my feelings are hurt. You're out of the group, or like, we're shutting down this subreddit post, like. And I feel like the right has been really successful in creating these echo chambers of which it is hard to escape. But like, I get the idea of, you want to feel like your opinions are validated and that you're not crazy and that other people think like you. But like, some people are so fucking thin-skinned and snowflakes. And I'm like, do you not have like guy friends? Like, I talk shit to my friends all the time. Bro, one of my closest friends, a guy I've known since kindergarten, 25 years. I told him one day when I hit 1 million subscribers, I was like, "Yo, dude, Roman, I just hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube." And he looks at me and he's like, "You mean 1 million talking monkeys actually watch your crap?" And I was just like, "Thanks, Roman. Thanks, man." So like, I don't know. It just feels like, why would you want to be in an echo chamber if your ego, I feel like you would only want that if you are very insecure with yourself and need constant like validation from other people.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that. I understand the sentiment, obviously. Like, the meme on my stream is that I just don't like talking to people I agree with a lot because I think the conversations aren't as fun. But, I mean, it seems to, I think most people gravitate towards stuff they tend to agree with. I think it's pretty normal for whatever reason. But
yeah, I mean, like, you and I could debate something and disagree on stuff, but I don't know if there's a whole lot I would disagree with you on politically, perhaps.
I do agree that it's kind of weird when people are like constantly just consuming a whole bunch of like echo chambery content. I think that does get kind of weird, and that does seem to be unfortunately increasingly common.
Yeah. Like sometimes I'll click on a review of a game and it'll be something like, Oblivion isn't actually a masterpiece or something, or they're talking shit about like some super awesome game that I love, and I'll click on the video, be like, man, fuck this guy, and then I'll listen for a bit and be like, okay, you know what, I see what he's saying. All right, I don't fully agree with it, but I can respect it.
Yeah.
One thing I have a bunch of like topics. I don't know how much time you want to spend with me, but I was thinking about it. What's that?
I said we can go through whatever you want. We're sitting here, so.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that, like, for the Republican Party right now, like in Congress, the Senate, and in the executive branch, like, all the values that I used to feel were like, I feel like I don't know what the fuck real conservative or Republican values are anymore, because every every mantra, every stance, everything they claim to stand for, it feels like they have trampled under all of those values with a stampede of hypocrisy. So, like, can you tell me any other values that the current Republican Party in Congress and Senate, not representative of all Republican voters, are there any other two values in the Republican Party other than acquiring wealth and acquiring power by any means necessary?
No, I think especially the Trump stuff changed things quite a bit. It's like I would say it's inarguably like a cult now. So until Trump is gone, there is no ideology other than follow kind of what Daddy Trump says. But that's just
right
the nature of where things have gotten to, unfortunately, with the conservatives. So, but yeah, there's no analysis beyond that right now, unfortunately.
I know you deal with a lot of conservatives, and many of them have ideas and arguments that you disagree with. Are there any like actual conservative values that you find that you can relate to or understand, or that you can agree with on some level?
I mean, yeah, I like guns. I mean, it depends on what we're talking about, but yeah, there's going to be issues that I definitely will be more agreeable with conservatives than not. But the issue is none of those values are present right now. It's just whatever Donald Trump says. So even if there was something that you thought you agreed with, if Donald Trump said the opposite tomorrow, every single conservative would be opposed to it, basically. So
yeah, that's the craziest part. Is like Republicans aren't even the party of lowering taxes anymore. Like, how fucking crazy is that?
I have no idea what they are anymore. Yeah, it's just whatever Trump says. It's gotten wacky. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up with family members that were essentially like the two standard types of conservatives. One is like the richer, like, I just want to pay lower taxes, that's why I'm a Republican. And the other was, I live on a farm in the middle of butt fucking nowhere. And, you know, it seems like a lot of conservatives that are online or in debate spaces, like, I feel like there are good people who are conservatives.
There aren't good people, or there are good people?
There are.
Yeah, I would say I think there are for like ordinary people. I think a lot of the content creator types or a lot of the political leader types, I think are highly questionable right now. But
yeah, and I feel like sometimes over categorizing or generalizing people can sometimes be dangerous. I don't know where I was going with this. Yeah, the Republic, like, so what would be an example of a Republican value, or like a mantra they used to say? You notice Ben Shapiro stopped saying facts don't care about your feelings? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just got old, or maybe he realized that conservatives are like the most fucking feels-based people in the universe right now. So
I don't know. That was a good mantra. Like, that's easy to get behind. I mean, granted, he would be saying that to like 22-year-old college kids, you know, who don't know shit, but you know, stuff like that, or like back the blue. Like, I'm in favor of like, well, how would I put this? I would say back the blue. You know,
okay.
I don't fuck with cops. You know, I've met some good cops. I know there's some bad cops, but like, you know, support the people in law enforcement and those that put their lives on the lines, or like respect for our armed forces and our military. That's something that's hugely important to me. And it's weird that like Republicans have turned their back on that, or at least Trump has, and therefore by extension, like some of his followers. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing we said in 2016, where when Donald Trump started attacking McCain, people basically thought, me included, that was like, it was over, that Trump had basically just thrown the entire chance of, I mean, nobody even thought he had a chance of winning the primary at that point anyway, but that it was just like unbelievable that you could attack somebody over their military history. That's just like impossible to make fun of them for being a prisoner.
And also like recently Catholics with that whole fucking AI Pope image. But I had also, so one of my topics I had written down was the American brand of fascism fucking sucks. Would you agree with that?
What do you mean? What do you mean particularly?
The American brand of fascism, like it's nowhere near as competent or stylistic, intimidating as say like the Nazis. Like the Germans really nailed fascism. You know, I feel like Mussolini in Italy, they kind of like half-assed it. Like Mussolini just got into power and then he was like, all right, I guess we'll go into Africa or something. We don't really know what the fuck we're doing. But like the Nazis really knew what they were doing. Right?
You have to keep in mind it was literally an entire country and ideology built around militarism and a master race, and they lost the first war they ever participated in. But I do agree with you in principle. I understand what you're saying. They're more impressive than the Trump regime that has no idea what the fuck he's doing at all. So, I mean, I agree with that. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the American fascism isn't. They were talking about putting on a military parade. I heard at least that much. But like, it's clear Trump has like no respect for our military personnel.
It's not a military parade. It's a Trump parade with the military. Yeah.
Exactly. But like you would like that's like a core tenet of authoritarianism is like you lean on the arm that can enforce violence. You don't just like sorry. You don't just like shit on your military because that's the extension of your power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. The American brand of fascism sucks. I was thinking about this, right? Trump is saying like he wants to bring back industry to the United States, right? We're not even building the concentration camps here. Come on, man.
Because of El Salvador or whatever? Is that what you mean? Or
Yeah. We're build the concentration camps here, you know? That you'd be paying for materials, you'd be hiring builders, there would be guards, people running the gas chambers. It's like that was a whole industrial complex for the Nazis. By the way, I'm not actually advocating for this. I'm just being.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. Hey, listen, it's true. Acting pro concentration camp. I got it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying, if you're going to do concentration camps, like at least bring the industry back to the U.S. Like how pathetic is that, man? You know, one of my favorite fun facts about the Nazis and the Holocaust is that, after they had abducted the Jews and they had taken their property, brought them to the camps, stripped them down, taken their clothes, they got all the forced labor they could out of them before their bodies gave up. Then they put them in the gas chambers. They ripped out all their gold teeth, shaved their hair. And then after they burnt the Jews, sometimes they would sell the ashes to fertilizer companies in Germany.
Jesus.
That's industry. All right. That's like they're using every part of the animal. You know what I mean?
So what you're saying is Trump should have enslaved all of our illegal immigrants instead of deporting them. That would have been the smarter way to do it.
It just seems like if you're gonna do fascism,
do it based.
Or authoritarianism, like they don't know how the fuck to do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. That's one of the things that I kind of like joke about. Is or I don't know if I would say joke about, but we're kind of lucky in that the current administration is so fucking inept that we probably hopefully will avoid like most of the completely horrible negative aspects of like a totalitarian regime because they're just so stupid.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not advocating for what I just said, just to be clear, because I know it's a little edgy, a little dark, but it's just that's what I mean when I say the American brand of fascism sucks.
I got you. Don't worry. Too late though. You're already clipped. You're going.
Oh yeah. So another thing that I've been thinking about, and I'm curious what your perspective is, because we live in pretty uncertain times. A lot of things are happening in the country that are unprecedented or that we don't have a historical precedent for. And that can always be unnerving or unsettling when you're swimming in uncharted waters. So obviously, I think we're beyond the point where there's even a debate to be had about whether the Trump regime is fascistic or authoritarian. I think would you agree with that?
That what, we're past the point of having that debate?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's clear what it is.
Yeah. The
Right?
disappointing thing is that one of the frustrating things with conservatives is the conservatives will have this pattern where they'll say Trump's not going to do that, and then when he does do that, they'll defend it. So
No,
yeah.
it was just a joke.
Yeah, it
No,
always was a
you're just
joke. It was a
crazy.
fucking joke. Or
Yeah.
well, or they would say it was a joke, but the real joke was that they would be opposed to it if he did do it. Because then when Trump would start doing it, even though they would tell you he won't do it, and if he did, that'd be horrible or whatever. When he starts doing it, they'll defend it. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah. The real joke was the fingers I had crossed behind my back.
true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But my question for you was, yeah, let's talk. This is a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 4 years from now? Or sorry, where do you see the country and the world in 4 years from
I don't
now?
know.
Or
No
even
idea.
2
I'm trying
years?
to. Yeah, we're looking ahead to midterms. Hopefully, the Democrats win midterms because you're starting to feel, and you're going to start to feel over the next month or two, like big economic impacts from the tariff stuff. So hopefully, when people see that shit sucks a lot, hopefully we start to see good midterm performances from the Democrats. Hopefully, the Democrats learn to kick out the insane, crazy, loony leftists. And yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, there was a picture I saw of the Seattle port where all the big shipping containers come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there plenty of times. The only time I think I saw it like super barren was during COVID. But there was a picture and there was just one shipping boat there. And I was like, yeah, that's already hitting where I am,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously on the West Coast, the boats, like we trade more with China because we're on the coast. So that's already hitting.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like 15 days from now or something. It's starting to hit because it takes like 45 days to 80 days for them once they get onto the water to hit a port and then to be available at some other place. And I think we're starting to get to that timeline where shit's going to be very noticeable. Yeah.
Yeah. The Germans have a proverb that says it's something along the lines of, if you refuse to listen, then you must feel. So like people who didn't listen to some of the warning signs or the arguments, or maybe even people you debated in the past who were like, that's not going to happen, you're crazy. If you are unwilling to listen, then you must feel. People sometimes have to learn the hard way and like actually feel the negative impacts of something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the shipping containers in Seattle, for people that go there and they visually see that things are different, less active, less busy, it's unfortunate that people sometimes have to learn the hard way.
Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately a pretty common human experience, but yeah.
Yeah, but on this degree, like on the world stage, you know what I mean? It kind of hits a lot different as opposed to just in your personal life where you get fired from a job for being a dumbass or whatever, right?
Yeah, because now your decisions are impacting everybody else. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think there are going to be midterm elections?
I think there will be.
You think so?
I think we'll make it. I think we'll be okay. I have faith in the American people and the American dream.
What do you think about the prospect of war with Canada or Mexico, or civil war, or war with Greenland, Denmark? How realistic do you think those prospects are? Like how authoritarian?
I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't want to give away too much, but I am secretly in contact with the Nothing Ever Happens guy, and he admits he's been on vacation for a while, but he's still lurking back there, and he'll be making a comeback soon. He's on vacation, but he's still looking over things. All right, the Nothing Ever Happens guy. He's always there in the background. He's always there. Okay.
Who is the Nothing Ever Happens guy?
The Nothing Ever Happens guy. He's the guy that when you think the world's about to end or we're about to do World War III or nuclear holocaust or something crazy, he's the guy who's like, nah, that's not gonna happen. Nothing ever happens. Nothing like that. Nothing ever happens like that. Nah, he's that guy. He's one of the most important safeguards to worldwide peace and freedom and democracy.
Okay. I think I'm picking up what you're laying down, but well, Yeah. Hopefully we have midterms, but I mean, who knows at this rate?
The nothing ever happens guy knows.
You're right. He does know. So what are your current, like, never mind. What was I going to ask? You've done a good job answering my questions and bouncing ideas off of, because I'm trying to gain a better understanding of everything.
Sure. Yeah, do my best.
Yeah. I've considered doing my own either social or political videos, but I'm unsure if I would start a separate channel for that.
Yeah, I just know that you'll be, well, I don't know how political your current videos are, but you run the risk of hardcore alienating your current audience when you start heading down that road, so just be careful.
Yeah. That's why it's something to consider. But that's for me to figure out. I guess that kind of
Somebody in chat
answers a lot of
says,
the...
ask for context of the picture of him with the big hair.
With the big hair?
I don't know if they're referring to a meme in your community or so. I have no idea.
The big... Yeah, I don't know what that...
Well...
I don't know what that means either.
Way to go, dipshit.
Yeah, one chance to ask your question and you missed it. What game is that you're playing?
It's a horrible game called Factorio. Don't do it.
This looks like City Builder.
Kind of, but way more autistic.
Yeah. Do you play Age of Empires 2?
I think like twice. So not really.
I mean, you seem like a big RTS top-down.
I mean, given that I was
guy,
a professional StarCraft 2 player, yeah, I would say I was. Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Oh well.
Oh man.
Damn, where'd you think I picked up all my slurs from? What the fuck? You think I just randomly came onto the internet saying N-words out of nowhere? Of course not.
No. I guess now I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What do you think of iDubbbz nowadays?
Horribly boring and super duper cucked out to the way too far politically extreme side on the left for no fucking reason.
Yeah, like why do you think he did that transformation? Made that? Do you think it? Because like, I mean, I've been with chicks who are a lot more liberal or left leaning than I am, and I'm more chill. But so I've seen what happens when you date a woman who's like more fiery, shall we say? You know, you don't want to piss them off too much and set them off the rails. Do you think it's relationship with Ian? Or do you think he genuinely had some moment on his own where he was like, man, I kind of hate my fucking audience? Like,
I mean, it's probably a combination of both, right? I'm sure he got older. He realized his content was probably way edgier than he really wanted it to be. And then, like, as he grows and changes, I'm sure his relationships reflect that and everything as well. So, like, I would say it's like a feedback loop.
Yeah, but here's what I don't get about iDubbbz. And I was thinking about this is... iDubbbz could get away with saying some crazy shit because it never felt like he was being racist or sexist or whatever. I wouldn't say iDubbbz's old content was racist. Even when he said the N-word with Tana Mojo, it always felt like iDubbbz was unfiltered and everything had intention behind it. So saying the N-word for that content cop was a way to expose and validate what he was saying about Tana and that she over exaggerates, embellishes, and lies about her story time videos. And that point was successfully made. So like, but he took down all his old content cops. So it's almost like he doesn't stand by those videos anymore.
I mean, we stopped analyzing anything related to language like that. Now, if anything is like a particular word, then we just say that it's automatically racist or sexist. Like, that's it. So we don't do that. We don't gain that analogy. We've lost that
form of annoying and boring. It takes too long to explain nuance, you know?
Sure. I mean, to some extent, there were some people who weaponized the nuance and tried to pretend that they were being nuanced when they were really just trying to be racist, which is a fair criticism. But then, yeah, it's kind of dumb because now everything is like super one-dimensional about it. Oh fuck.
Yeah, it just seems like for a guy like Ian, or really for any content creator, there's times when where you can step on the soapbox and like preach, and there are times when you should get rid of the soapbox, put on the clown makeup, and just do the thing that people want to see you do. Just dance for the people. And
Well,
it
now
seems like
I think
he
he said he's
doesn't.
going to do that now, right? He's like, I'm just going back to making content cops, I guess. So
I didn't watch all of it, but like the fucking Fortnite dancing with all these like political streamers, it was like hard to watch, even that far in.
yeah, it was pretty cringe, pretty bad, pretty
For a guy
bad.
that used to be so edgy and so funny, it's weird. I don't get it.
Sometimes you just got to live the cringe life, and that's what his grind is right now.
Yeah. Well, all right. What are your current goals right now as far as like producing content and like quote unquote fighting the good fight? Has anything changed, or are you just kind of gonna keep doing what you're doing?
I'm just playing Factorio right now. I got a bunch of personal stuff I'm dealing with, and then once that's
Oh
resolved,
yeah.
then
Yeah.
yeah. Once that's done with, then I'll probably see where things are at. I have no idea. The political climate is just crazy. It's hard to predict where things are going to be at, like 6 months from now, let alone in a year and a half or whatever. So
Yeah, at the very least, it is going to be wildly entertaining,
true.
despite how stupid it is.
Yeah, it's always true.
Yeah. Good time to be making content if you're a political streamer or YouTuber or whatever. It's also going to be really annoying time too. Just every day dealing with the dumbest shit ever. But yeah.
Well, I love you. It's been fun. If you have any other questions or anything comes up, or if anybody tries to debate you and you want to throw them my way or anything, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate you taking the time, of course. Yeah, you answered a lot of my questions because I was interested about like your mindset around debating and kind of like seeing what you think of the current state of things and where we're headed and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, appreciate the time. Good luck with what is it, Factorio?
Yeah.
Build a great city. Build a city people want to live in.
I'll do
Sorry,
my best.
a factory.
Wait, do you stream on Twitch at all?
I haven't for a long time. I got a new processor in my computer, so I should be able to handle streaming better. I've been meaning to get back into it. Why?
Do you follow the Asmongold stuff at all?
A bit. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Why do you ask?
Just curious. It's just been interesting to see him go full off into I feel like he's gone completely full off into Trump world.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much of his stuff because it's all like politics related. Sometimes I'll watch when he does reactions to my videos because I always love seeing people's like. I like living vicariously through people's reactions to my videos, especially when they enjoy it. But yeah. I think Asmongold is a guy who loves being the center of attention, whether it's for good or bad reasons. And I think he chases that high a little too much.
Okay. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I try to judge people like based on their how they act in public, but also how they treat me on a personal level. And he has treated me very well on a personal level. So I wouldn't necessarily want to say anything too bad about him.
That's fair.
I just kind of feel like maybe he's lost his way a little bit, or gone a bit further than I thought he would with some of that stuff. Yeah. But to him, it could also just be part of the game of being a content creator, and like I said, like, you know, wanting to be the center of attention for either good or bad reasons. You know,
Okay.
it's like for me, I don't like airing my personal dirty laundry out into this cyberspace because, like, what's the point? But that's a guy who will take pictures of spiders in his sink and show you like bloody teeth marks on the side of the wall, right?
Hmm.
Stuff that like most people be like, well, that's pretty fucking gross. Why would you share this information?
Yeah.
That's kind of why I feel like in some ways I can respect that of just like being your unapologetic self. But also I sometimes I feel like he says those things to get reactions out of people.
Okay. That's a take.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about all that?
I mean, obviously, I super ultra disagree with his with the political stuff that he's up to right now. So, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um one last thing
Yeah.
is you made a joke about his mom, right?
Did I make a joke about his mom? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, sorry. Um Now I know you were trying to make a point with that, but do you feel like that was the best strategic or tactical move
Sure. I
to
have no
kind of
problem.
like go there?
Yeah. I don't like that. I think that who we're allowed to joke about is oftentimes dictated by whoever feels like they hold most of the political power at some point in time. And I think that Asmongold has made some of the most deplorable and disgusting jokes I think that are possible, like laughing about dressing up as a Pokemon trainer and going to the border and taking pictures of people being deported, or
Yeah,
like
that's
jokes about like other, jokes about all these federal employees getting fired. I hope they have to go do DoorDash and Uber now, as these people all get fired from like USAID. I think that if you're going to be in the realm of making jokes like that with absolutely zero pushback whatsoever, because Asmongold lives in a hug box, then you should be open to other people making edgy jokes about you as well. I mean, like, it's not even like his mom is here to be offended by it, so as opposed to the people that he's making fun of. So yeah, I think it's fair game. Fuck it.
I suppose I wouldn't personally like take things to a level of that personal level, you know? But that's just me.
This is one of the things that I like to fight against, though. And if it forces the conversation, that's fine. Like the phrasing that
Yeah.
you use there, like I wouldn't want to take things to a personal level. I think there's a problem that so much of quote unquote politics is so impersonal. Like, remember earlier you
True.
said that thing that was true. That unfortunately, what did you say? You have to go there and see it. Sometimes you have to learn by experience, basically. And the
Yeah.
idea that, we can make jokes and laugh at people getting deported and laugh at people losing their jobs and laugh at, programs being dismantled that are basically causing people to die of like malaria and shit around the world. And that's like epic and funny. But now when somebody talks about, like my dead mom, oh, well, now it's serious. I think it's good to make people just take a moment and be like, hold on. Why is this serious, but none of the other stuff was? I think that's good to think about.
Okay. Now that is a take, but when you make a sort of joke like that is personal, don't you feel you are simply giving ammunition and what's the word? Don't you feel like you're basically validating all of the negative things that his followers and he thinks about you, and therefore makes it
I'd rather give
harder
somebody ammunition to shoot at me than just have them ignore me. So, I mean, it's not like I'd said a million times before that I thought the jokes you were making was pretty disgusting, but he didn't care. He never responded to it. His community never saw my criticisms of it. They didn't care. So, if this is what forces the conversation, then yeah, fuck it.
That is true, because I may not have taken such an interest in politics if you hadn't been in the middle of that shit show after the
The firefighter.
assassination attempt.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is an interesting tactic. I'll give you that much. It does spark conversation. I just wonder if you're in the business of like changing people's minds, it's got to be hard to balance that.
Got to get their attention first, right? But no, yeah, I know what you mean.
True. Yeah. Another quote from KOTOR was like, what greater weapon is there than to turn an enemy to your cause, to use their own knowledge against them, right? You think about amongst in Age of Empires 2. Well, you could kill an enemy unit, but what if you converted it? That's a +1 for you and a -1 for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Stuff to think about.
Yeah, stuff to think about.
Yeah. Well, all right, Destiny, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And yeah, best of luck to you and all that you do. Hope things go well for you. And yeah.
Well, everybody be careful. Stay safe.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, chat. Thanks for having me on.
Christ. Bye.
All right, peace.
Wow.